I've complained about this before, and I feel like complaining about it again. I'm gonna tell a little story. So, when I was younger, I had one of those Black Power mentors, one of those soul sister mentors. And I didn't see anything wrong with it because I grew up in a very liberal environment. So I thought it was kind of normal for like women to be, I want to use the word boisterous, for them to have their chests poked out and for them to constantly talk about why they can do better than being with a man, blase, blase, blah. And silly me, I used to think that there was an exception to that rule. It's not that men are no good, it's that no good men are no good. So I thought. And I told this lady when I started dating my now husband that I met a guy and he's very special to me. And she just went on this long rant about how I'm too intelligent. I have too many things going for myself to be settling with some guy. And this wasn't any old guy. In fact, I introduced her to my now husband and she loved him absolutely, which is very difficult to achieve because this woman is impossible as you could imagine. I didn't realize how impossible she was until she went as far as to ask, well, what are his intentions? And I was like, yeah, he wants to get married. He wants to have kids, the whole nine, and having kids, that was a whole conversation because at the time I learned that, having children would be nearly impossible, but we still, you know, entertained the conversation. And so she just went on this long rant of how this man is trying to ruin my life. And on top of that, he's trying to bring little crumb snatchers into my world. I was really fascinated with that because I was like, crumb snatcher? What's a crumb snatcher? I learned what a crumb snatcher was from having my kids. So, one thing I learned about having kids is that no matter how much you do for them, they still need you to do more for them. And that doesn't necessarily make them bad people. But I also realize that it can get exhausting at times and they still don't care. I think this is why it's so important that women exude a level of humility and submission. A lot of people get hung up on this idea that the word submission, women being submissive to men, is like this dirty word. But when a man sees how a woman treats himself, he gets kind of a progress report on how she's going to treat his kids. And this is what I mean by that. I have to freely give all the time. And I also have to trust that my husband is going to provide all the time. Even when there are times when we can't do for one another, our intentions should remain the same. And this is what I mean by that. When I go to feed my kids, I don't think of it as a disservice. Sometimes it's challenging, times get tough. But I don't ever look at my kids and go, I can't believe you took all the grapes out of my hand. Now, I just might be blessed in that I don't see giving to my kids as a takeaway from me. I could imagine many different circumstances where I've seen women who didn't really want the child or felt like, the man they had the child with didn't really care for the relationship, so on and so forth. But as for my situation, I just had a hard time thinking my kids who, if they don't get food from me or their dad, who's supposed to feed them? Like in my mind, I'm like, they're my kids. They're my husband's kids. So this idea of them being crumb snatchers, I understand it in a sense of someone who probably doesn't have that kind of family structure for their own children. But as for me, I thought my mentor was really mean for that. And that's okay, because she's not my mentor anymore.